Select video sources, that webcam. There we go. Ready to go. Just make sure that we're...
Okay. Well, this time we'll test. 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 What's that?
Maybe the speakerphone itself, and it's selecting the right source.
Test. 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 Test.
She's saying the sound works now. Okay.
I can hear you. April Pearson said, can hear you now. This is good news. People can hear us. Okay, we're going with this. Okay, thank you everyone. My sincerest apologies for the delayed start. I'm now looking, it's 5:18, so I'm sorry to have taken 18 minutes of your day. Hopefully I aim to please in the next few minutes. So my name is Ron Bowles and I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for the City of West Kelowna. Thank you very much for joining this Facebook Live event. Today we'd like to talk about billing around the Rose Valley water system. So that's most of the conversation. We'll have a few few points on water quality. Love to hear from you though. So please start typing in the comments section. I did see one question come up during the break that we had. But please type in your comments either now or as we're going here. I will say a few words, both on the water billing side and then a little bit on source water quality. And I'm going to dive into a few of the frequently asked questions. Should take maybe 5 minutes. And if I haven't answered your question, then please put it in the comments section. So in 2026, so next year, we will be removing $150 a year from your water utility bills. So you get billed quarterly, so that's $37.50 every bill. We'll be taking that off your bill, and we will be adding $181 to your tax notice. So annually, we'll be taking $150 off, and we'll be adding $181 to a different billing. So that's sort of the crux of what we are doing in 2026. So you start seeing it then. And what this is for is to pay for your proportionate share of the Rose Valley Water Treatment Plant construction. So you started paying $150 a number of years ago, and now that will end and it'll transfer to the tax notice, but it's $181. You might ask, well, why is it $31 more? And that basically is interest rate. So interest rates when we set this up in 2020 was less than 1%, and now we're borrowing at just over 4%. So the $31 is just a little bit more interest charge that the city gets charged. So that's the cost to our utility users. So that's basically $150 off your bill and $181 on your bill. Now, for those of you that have $2,750 in your bank account and you would like to pay this off early, so instead of paying $181 for the next 25 years, you can pay $2,750 now. If you pay that by the end of the month, then you won't be charged $181. And yes, the $150 will also still come off your utility bills like everybody else. So that's an option for you. And again, completely at your discretion. Just come in and pay at City Hall. If you have any more questions I don't answer today, there's some options for you. Now, first of all, we have a frequently asked questions section and on our website, and you can go to www.westkelownaCity.ca/RVWTP, Rose Valley Water Treatment Plant. So again, that's www.westkelownaCity.ca/RVWTP. So you should be able to get some more information there. Also, our staff would love to hear from you. And so you can email us or call Communications, so that's with an S, communications at westkelownacity.ca, or you can call us by telephone at 778-797-8850. So that's 778-797-8850. Let's talk a little bit about source water quality. So thank goodness we now have a good working water treatment plant for the Rose Valley water system, providing safe drinking water to your home. Our source water, so that's the water coming in from the Rose Valley itself, so our water reservoir, needs some pre-treatment. So it has a fairly high concentration of manganese in the water. Health Canada has said that we should be taking more of the manganese out of the water than we are currently, and so we have to do some upgrades upstream. So the good news is Council has approved moving a budget from 2029 to this year. So you'll see some construction going on in the area in 2025, so at the end of this year and the beginning of next year, we're doing 2 improvements to the reservoir to take manganese out at that source so it doesn't even hit the water treatment plant. Now, customers could still see some discoloration in the source water. And why would that be? Well, twice a year, our lake turns. So cold water goes down and the hot water goes up. And when it does that, it stirs the water up and more manganese gets to our plant. Now, fret not, we have a plan to take the manganese out of the plant. It's not as good as doing it upstream in the reservoir, but in between now and when those upgrades go in, we have a plan to take it out at the water plant. But if for some reason you get discolored water at your house, please run your taps until the discoloration is gone. Another way that you could have discoloration in your line is we could get a localized or a major water line break in the system. And if that were to happen, there's dirt and particles and maybe a little bit of manganese in the water line, and that gets stirred up and could come to your tap. So run your water again until it runs clear. And every year, this is part of our preventative maintenance, we flush the water system. We're doing that right now, and we go from different sections of the system, different areas of town, and clean out the system. We do that with both of our systems. And when we do that, the whole point is to stir up the debris and particles that end up in the water line and to blow it all out. But we don't get it all. Sometimes some may end up at your house. Just again, run the water until it runs free. And regarding water quality updates, our water quality, we've been providing updates to both you and to our councils. So you can expect to see on the next council agenda, May the 20th, there will be a major update going to council. So watch for that, or you can watch it live, or you can watch the video afterwards. Or wait for your mail out, and we're sending a mail out within a week after that. So we're providing monthly updates to you. We're going to continue to do that. And we're going to continue to provide more detailed quarterly updates to council. So that's a little bit about water quality. I'm going to move on to the top 3 questions that come in on the billing, and hopefully I answer a few of your questions. So Jason, customers have also been asking if funds collected for either the Rose Valley water system or the Powers Creek system, whether those funds collected stay in that system. And the answer is absolutely yes. So we have a very detailed accounting system that tracks where the money comes from and makes sure that it gets used explicitly for that source. At the end of the year, if there was any funds left over, let's say in the Rose Valley water system, then we put that money into a special savings account. We call them reserves, but it gets saved for that water system. So we keep those 2 systems distinctly separate. Jason Lusu, our communications manager, also provided me with the second question, which is customers have also been asking if the water flat rate on your quarterly retailing bill will disappear. And the answer to that one is a little bit of yes and no. So as we already discussed, $150 will be coming off that bill in 2026. So Of course, that section of the bill is higher than $150, so there still will be an amount on there, but it most definitely is going down by $150.
For the year.
Yeah, for the year, yes. So $37.50 for the quarter. Thank you, Jason. And one qualifier to that is, of course, every year we look at our water, we look at our budget, and we look at how much money it takes to run that system, and we make annual adjustments approved by council. So that's it could go down by, let's say, $145 because of those adjustments. But definitely because of the water treatment plant, it's going down by $37.50 or $150. Jason, the last question you provided to me was customers have been asking about the water rate study. So a water rate study is a major look at what it costs to run a water system. Before we can do that, we have to do what's called a water master plan. So this is what local governments do, or municipalities do. It's best practice to take a hard look, a very detailed look at your water system every so many years. And the reason you do it every so many years is it's quite expensive to do and time consuming. So every 5 to 10 years, and it's time for us to do ours. We're doing a water master plan. We've engaged in that process now. When that water master plan is done, we will know all of the critical infrastructure that needs to go into that system, and then we can start talking about rates. So water master plan gets done, gets approved by council, then we start doing the water rate study, which comes after that. Of course, all of these processes are highly public, and you'll be involved. So that was our top 3 questions that have been coming in. Jason, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes, so Cheryl Lynn wants to know what about the toxic cyanobacteria on the reservoir. So this has to do with the mix of conditions in the source water reservoir that we have, and it's part of the source water improvements that we're taking care of and continuing to monitor. Did you want to speak to cyanobacteria?
Well, I think that's a little bit above me as CAO. I'm going to take a little bit of stab at it, and then we will post a more detailed answer, which is what you're asking for in Facebook after this event. So the 2 systems here. So we've talked a little bit about manganese and taking that out at the source water, and then you talk about organics. And so organics are there. We want to dissipate and leave as many of them in the reservoir as we can. And then our water treatment plant, of course, is the final scrub of that system. So it's our final clean. And then, of course, all of our water is tested. When it leaves the plant, is tested at various places throughout the system to make sure that any of those organics that are in the system are coming out. And again, I know that was a very high-level response, but our engineers would be happy to answer your more detailed question, and we'll get that case post.
Yeah, so Cheryl Lynn actually has some great technical questions in the forum. Mm-hmm. So people who are watching and need answers to those technical questions, what we'll do is we'll forward those to our engineering department and get them back. Okay. We do have questions, so she wants to know basically about the types of filters and the technical details of the plant. Okay. Certainly our engineering department can get that for her.
Absolutely.
And then she wanted, she's answering questions that are good questions too about testing, monitoring, and that kind of thing. So we'll get those for her for sure.
Yeah, and just for the rest of the public, we are, this is a highly regulated industry, and Interior Health sets up very strict guidelines as to when we have to test, where we have to test, what we have to do, and be rest assured that our quality control program is second to none. But we'll get those questions answered. Absolutely. Thanks, Jason. Anything else?
Yeah, and then we have another person online who wants to know if the payments can be made online. Now, they don't expand, but I have to assume that they mean the $27.50. There have been some people who've been asking and are frequently asked questions why the in-person payment is the only payment that's possible.
Yeah, so so we do have online payment system for our normal business, which is taxes and utility billing system. For this rather large amount, it's hard to do that. So our finance department is asking for people to come in, either write a check or bring it in or pay in person. However, they would also entertain. We don't have an automated system, but we would take an electronic transfer. So please contact our Once this is done, we'll get our finance department to, our communications department will put in the details of how to get a hold of the finance department, and they'd be happy to help you out and accept that transfer, that e-transfer. Thank you.
June Dykes is saying that she would like a breakdown of how the monies are spent. So we can speak to the project and the breakdown of the grant and the development cost charges, but I think she wants to also know how, I'm thinking this is for the system, so this probably goes back to the water rates question.
Yeah.
What kind of monies are covered in the water flat rate?
Yeah, so I'll sort of hit that from two angles. Thank you very much for that question. So the first part is the costs. We've been talking a lot about the cost of the water treatment plant today. And so those are in our frequently asked questions. The $75 million plant, $41 million came from the federal and provincial government, so that was great. Some of the money was collected early from you, and then the rest was, so $23.5 million is recently been borrowed or being borrowed from the Municipal Finance Authority. So that's basically a bank owned by the municipalities in the province. And so that's being borrowed right now. So that's sort of a high level of the plant construction itself. I think, as Jason Lusu has alluded to, you're probably looking for more about where we spend money in the operational system itself. So that is in our budget process, and we'd be happy to get you those the water system financial documents. But it is part of our annual budget process that's public process. It goes to council every year. And stay tuned for the next one this coming fall. But I think you're looking for some detailed numbers, and of course we can't answer that on Facebook Live, but we'd be happy to get those to you. So thanks for the question.
So Fred Canigan wanted to address his frustration that there was no sound to start and then a refresh and then a jump back on this info. So I just wanted to address that from a technical perspective. That was technical on our end. When we started the Facebook Live post, selected the wrong audio input. So that was a technical issue. We apologize for the 18 minutes of people's time that we wasted. We respect your time, and yeah, that should not have happened. So I think that leads to one of the reason I wanted to bring that up is because I think some people are rejoining us, Ron. And there's Lori Lee who is saying that she'll send you an email, Ron. This user fee seems to be disguised as a parcel tax, and that is terribly concerning. Okay. So some people might have missed the bit off the top where we were talking about the move from user fees to parcel taxes.
Oh, yes. So hi, Lori Lee. Thank you for that question. I do look forward to your email. So send that to communications with an S on the end, communications@westkelownacity.ca. Love to hear from you. And just to be clear, because you may have missed the beginning of this, we are reducing water utility bills by $150, and we're increasing the parcel tax to $181. So the net change to people's pocketbook is $31 per year. So I just wasn't sure, Lori Lee, if you'd got that or not, but love to see your email. Thank you.
Cheryl Lynn says she's feeling a little bit patronized by our answers, so I wanted to address that. Cheryl Lynn has a lot of technical questions.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we let Cheryl Lynn know that we can set up a meeting with our engineering department, because we want her to feel heard and we want to make sure her technical questions are answered. And we could also work with her on how that information shared on our website through like a fact sheet or an FAQ, because we want people to understand how the plant works for sure. And yeah, these are a lot of great technical questions.
Yeah, excellent. And Cheryl Lynn, yeah, this Facebook Live event today was to be mostly about the utility billing and the parcel tax, but absolutely, I did touch a little bit at a high level on water quality. Your questions are important, very technical, and we have engineers that can help with that stuff. But it's not an area of my expertise for sure.
Diane Kakanowski has a great question. If she pays in full by the end of the month, is she assured that she won't be asked to pay any more money?
Hi, Diane. Yes, you can be assured. For the water treatment plant construction, this was approved many years ago, and how this would be done. And so we're enacting what we said to the public we do in 2020. If you pay the $27.50, yes, the $150 will come off your utility bill, so you'll see a reduction there, and you will not be charged the $181, rest assured.
Okay, I don't see any more new questions at this time. However, I think it would be important to please ask if anybody has any questions, to please post them now. June Dyke says 75 million is a lot of money. A breakdown is really needed.
Yeah.
So that's in follow-up to her question as to how the 75 million was spent for the plant.
Yeah, so we can provide two breakdowns there. One is where the money came from, which is what I talked about earlier, the 41 million from the federal and provincial government, and then the money that we'd saved up from you paying your $150 a year. So we can provide it from that angle. We can also provide a detailed response on what, basically a high level, what the 75 million paid for. It is an expensive plant, absolutely. It's doing what we asked it to do. It's a lot of money. And oh, by the way, it's not just the plant, it's the plant and the major water piping after the plant. But it is an expensive endeavor for sure. Thank you for that question.
Okay, we've got two more great questions. One from Lori Lee. This is a follow-up question, and then a new one from Sue Bowers.
Mm-hmm.
So Lori Lee is asking, are you even considering giving us more than the 30 days to pay the $27.50?
Lori Lee, that is a very good question, and I'm glad you asked it. One of the things that we've learned in this, the letter that went out didn't give a lot of time. So people that want to do that option, but just can't get in, we didn't give you a lot of time. So we are looking at that. We will have a second intake, so working on that right now with our finance department. But there will be a second opportunity, and of course we communicate to you by many sources, but one of them is a direct mail to your home. So we will have a second intake for that $27.50 if you'd like to do that option.
And I'm going to get to Sue Bowers' question in a second, so Sue, please stand by. Fred Canigan has a good follow-up question to Lori's question. He says, if we don't pay the lump sum now, can we pay a remaining lump sum when the next amortization comes up?
It's a good question. So the amortization will come up in 10 years, and I'm sure that's something that our finance department will be looking at that time. We'd have to look back at what we committed to the public when we set this all up in 2020, because it's a very regulated and formalized process. But being able to have another option to do it at 10 years, I'm pretty sure we can do that.
So Sue Bauer says, if we pay the full amount now by the end of May, why do we still have to pay the $250 until the end of January 2026? So the $250 is, I guess, the water flat rate that they're currently paying now.
Yes. So in that $250, in that water flat rate, you're paying your $150. So that is for the calendar year of 2025, and so. This change happens in 2026, so everybody's still paying for that portion of the water plant for this year. Next year, you'll pay it on your property tax, your tax notice, so as a partial tax. So that's what comes out and is due by July the 2nd every year. So again, you'll pay it for this year. You will not pay it on your utility bill for next year.
I think that leads to some of the other questions that we've been receiving, Ron, and some of our frequently asked questions about, people feel they've been paying this $150 for a long time, and that we're putting 4.4 million of what was collected as we had committed in 2020 into we put them into reserves, and then we've used that towards the water treatment plant construction. But in doing the math, we've collected more than $4.4 million since 2020 with that $150. So I think at the last Facebook Live, we had estimated that was about $2.6 million extra that was collected. Is that 2.6 million correct? And is that amount going into, where's that 2.6 million going? Why did you collect it and where's it going?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. And sorry, who was that question from?
It goes to.
No, who is it from, Jason?
Yeah, well, we've had a couple of people ask
Oh,
that
a few good,
question.
okay.
But we also had it asked in the last one, and it's coming up here as well. I think people want to know basically what happens with the money and the breakdown and that kind of thing.
Okay, so the question is, you're paying $150 a year. You started paying that in 2020. We were supposed to pay it for a few years, and then it was supposed to change the parcel tax system. But we ended up collecting it for two extra years, so we collected more money. Jason, I don't know the exact amount of the extra money that was collected. The finance department knows that. But what I will say is you're absolutely correct. There was more money than originally planned collected there. So that money sits in the reserve, so the savings account for the Rose Valley water system. So that's where it sits, and it comes up every year at budget time. So that's the time where we take a look holistically at the whole system and say, what are the needs of the system? What are the capital needs? And then we decide on what the utility rates are. So that is a great question. We will be addressing that and answering that in this year's budget process. So that'll be the budget process that starts this fall for the fiscal year 2026. And deciding what to do with that extra money. But you're absolutely correct. We did collect more than planned because it took when the initial basically referendum went out. It was a couple years longer to get the water plant completely done. So I hope I answered that question, and but we'll be talking more about that in council's budget process this year.
And we will have all the finances for the Rose Valley Water Treatment Plant collection and the audited financial statements too for 2024. They're out now, I think. I saw them in the council agenda, and we need to get them on the website, so we'll be doing that within the next few days.
Absolutely. The financials, or the audit financial statements are posted. They aren't very detailed, and so because we did have some people ask for more detail on the cost of the water treatment plant. That's all public information that we've already posted, but it'll be buried, and we'll grab it and we'll post it here. Thank you.
Okay. So we have another question too, and I think this goes to people who are wondering whether they pay the $27.50 now, or they just have us transfer the amount from utility bills to property taxes. And if we pay the lump sum and then sell our home and buy elsewhere in Kelowna or West Kelowna, we may be hit with paying someone else's parcel taxes. Did you want to speak to that? Because I think some people in the frequently asked questions have been wrestling with whether they pay the $27.50 or whether it's better for them to have the utility bill amount go over to property taxes next year.
Thank you, Jason Lusu. That's a really good question that was asked. So the system is set up for you to pay $181 for the next 25 years. So it's $181 a year for 25 years. That's the way the system is set up. Now, basically, it's a long-lived asset, the water treatment plant. So more than 25 years, but that's the length that we can borrow from the Municipal Finance Authority. So we're amortizing it, if you will, over that 25 years. That's the main system. If people wanted to pay it up front, that's an option. The reason we're not promoting it promoting it is because, yes, if you leave your home, and sell your home, you're selling your home with that asset attached to it, because now the new owner does not have to pay the 181. So theoretically, your house is worth more. And theoretically, if you bought another house, in your example, that still had to pay $181 a year for 25 years, then that will be also attached to their home. So if you're planning to stay in your home for 25 years and you have the money, that's a good option. But if you're planning to move, or you don't know what you're thinking of doing, then the system is set up for the $181 per year.
Lori Lee has a good follow-up question. She wants to know if we have a general reserve that is specifically set aside for the Rose Valley Water Treatment Plant.
Very good question, Lori Lee, and thanks for the follow-up. We have a Rose Valley water reserve, so we don't specifically have reserves for the plant itself or any of the other assets in that system. But so it's a general fee for the Rose Valley water system.
Michelle Tiro said, could you please introduce yourself and perhaps apologize for our inconvenience? Michelle, yes. Jason Lusu, I'm the acting manager for communications and engagement. When we set up, I selected the wrong audio. I apologize for that. I'm embarrassed. But these things happen. I've done Facebook Live before and it didn't work out as expected because I wasn't using my system, so I apologize for wasting people's time. That was on me. So, but we've got you back now, and thank you for watching.
Well, I don't know if I'd take all that, Jason, but thank you all the same, Michelle. Good points, and I'm Ron Bowles, Chief Administrative Officer from the City of West Kelowna. If you weren't here at the beginning when I introduced myself, but I think you were asking for Jason. I did introduce him the first time when you didn't hear me. So thank you for that, Michelle.
So yeah, I think we've answered most questions. The only one that I continue to be concerned about, and I want to make sure that this person feels heard, was Cheryl Lynn. And I think Cheryl has some pretty interesting questions, and I think we can get those answers for her and make sure we get those online. I think I would just want to say to Cheryl Lynn, I mean, these are really great questions, and yes, people, we will find a way to meet with you and get them on our website.
Yeah, Cheryl, if you maybe even provide your phone number and not on this site, but when you send your email, it sounds like a conversation with one of our smart engineers, and yourself can speak on the same terms, and they can answer your questions.
She wants to know if we've been investigating water quality past and present, and have you received notice and recommendations from Interior Health and the BC Centers for Disease Control. So yeah, we do work with Interior Health.
Yeah, we're working with Interior Health all the time, and you know, it's a major part of their portfolio and a very important service that we provide, or product that we provide, is making sure that we have safe drinking water. So we are constantly speaking with Interior Health.
Okay, so this is an interesting one. Cheryl Ward has, this has come up before too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good frequently asked question. The new fees can throw off stratas that cover the utilities that will now be transferred to the individual unit's household. So this goes to the complexity of stratas and whether they'll be paying. Can you answer that?
Yeah, I can. So stratas will pay a, so an individual strata right now pays a utility fee, and an individual strata will lose that $150, and an individual strata will have a parcel tax of $181 attached to it. So the only exception there is some of the really old stratas weren't maybe necessarily set up the way they are now. So that's a little bit of a qualifier, that if you have a strata that came online many years ago, it might be a little bit different. You'd have to call into our finance department to get the specifics on that. But for any strata in modern times, it's your 150 will come off and your 180 will go on.
And this goes towards that question too. Mike Dornian says he's wondering, based on the article on castanet.net, what exactly will people be paying, and if they're paying anything now towards the plant?
Yes, thanks, Mike, for that question. People are paying $150 right now in their flat rate. So 150 of that in the flat rate for utility bill is being paid for that plant.
And that's per year.
And that'll per year, and that's so $37.50 per quarter is being paid towards that plant, and then that's the bill that's being transferred or being dropped off utility bill and being put on your tax bill.
And then June Dykes is still asking that she wants the detailed breakdown. So yeah, I think we'll make sure we get that for her. I don't see any new questions. Thank you, everybody. We still have 51 people watching, which is excellent. And I want to make sure that everybody has had a chance to ask their questions before we wind down here. We want to just acknowledge that we have some follow-ups to do with a few of you. We have your questions online and we'll make sure we take care of that. And then, oh, we've got a new question here. Maybe you can clarify why Powers Creek Treatment Plant users, owners have been paying into Rose Valley Treatment Plant and paying into Powers Creek as well and have not been offered a payout. In addition, how is Powers Creek Plant not even paid out yet? When will that fee be removed from our bills? So
Okay.
Powers Creek being the
Yeah.
separate system.
Yes, so I wasn't prepared to talk about the Powers Creek system. There's a couple questions in there. One is sort of the cross-pollination of funds, and that does not happen. So any money that's collected for the Powers Creek system stays in the Powers Creek system, and any money that's collected for the Rose Valley water system stays in the Rose Valley water system. And so that was the first part of your question, and the other part was when will you stop paying debt for the water treatment for the Powers Creek water treatment facility? I don't have that offhand. We're going to post that, but I believe it is very soon.
Yeah, and I could work with finance to get that information to Richard. Michelle Lenarsik, how do I pay outright?
Hi, Michelle. Please come into City Hall and pay either by check or by cash or another means. But so we prefer you come to City Hall. But if you are not in town or that's an inconvenience, then please get a hold of our finance department and they would be happy to take your electronic transfer.
So Mike Dornian, yeah, sure, ask your question, Mike, I'm not seeing it. Don Drummond, did you say, Ron, that there's another payment method coming out and when?
Yes, I did. So we're just working on that right now. It'll either be this fall or it could be sooner than that, but at the latest this fall. We do want to take have another intake of the 2750. The reason we're doing that is we did not give our customers enough notice. So in lieu of giving you enough notice, we will have a second intake. We're just working on that now. And you'll have lots of notice. We will mail right to your house.
And then Mike Dornian and Grant Crocker have some questions too. I think there's still some clarification that we need to do here on the $150 flat rate appearing on the utility bill. So some people on their utility bills, I think right now, depending on their type of residence, have a $215 flat rate per quarter. Mm-hmm. And they're wondering how the $150 or the $37.50 per quarter plays into that flat rate again.
So, and the utility bill, it's how much per month right now?
So like in the water utility flat rate, some people are saying, some of the people on the forum are saying that their flat rate, for example, is $215 per quarter.
$215 per quarter.
So okay.
So it's $215 per quarter. So in 2026, that will go down by $37.50. With the qualifier, of course, we review our rates every year at budget time, and as approved by council, the rates can go up in minor amounts every year. But you will, if you're paying $215 now, then you can expect for the water treatment plant portion, it will go down by $37.50 next year. So your first quarter in 2026.
Yeah, so Patrick McCoubrey is saying 150 off per year, 181 added to your property taxes. The difference is $31 for added per year, and that's for the interest. So correct, Patrick is correct.
Thank you, Patrick.
And so Anna Marie Wilhelm is saying, with all the new homes being built, will they pay the $181 as well? And would this not reduce everyone's payments?
Yes, it will. So we'll reconcile that every year. And the $181, in theory, every time there's a home added, then they're paying the $181, so everybody else's bill goes down because they're paying into the water treatment plant that we've constructed for them.
Wouldn't it make sense, so Dan Rojas says, wouldn't it make sense to pay down the debt with the extra money deposited into the reserve fund that was collected? the money was collected directly for the purposes of paying for the water plant assets and not for future contingencies?
Dan, that's a great question, and that'll be something that council will be diving into at the budget process this fall. So stay tuned on that, but it's an excellent option, and council will be deliberating that and other options that their chief financial officer brings forward at budget time.
So Grant Crocker has got a follow-up question. He says, so why do you want to collect $27.50 now? What is that fee for?
Grant, we don't want to collect $27.50. We would prefer to collect $181 per quarter for the next 25 years. That's the main way that this system is set up. When it was set up in 2020, however, the city made a commitment to its users, to its citizens, that you would have an additional option if you wanted and you had the cash and you wanted to pay, just pay for your obligation for the plant up front, you can. So the system is set up for the $181 per year payment, but you are welcome to pay $27.50 this year and not have to worry about that payment every year.
Shelley Louise Dornian says, I'm concerned that people that were online waiting for the conversation to begin left, assuming that due to the almost hour-long delay there, and she's wondering if there would be another info session. I think it was fair. It was 18 minutes to 20 minutes. So sorry about
Jason,
that.
we will make sure that, this event will be saved on our site for 30 days. Am I right? Is that how long?
We'll put it on our YouTube channel.
We'll put it on our YouTube channel as well, so people can rewatch. Again, I'm so sorry about our technical difficulties, and for those people that are online and those people that had to leave and couldn't come back, but we'll have lots of options for them to watch it again.
And then this is a follow-up question on Powers Creek for Richard George. I think he feels that Powers Creek users feel they've been paying for Rose Valley treatment. I don't think that's the case at all.
No, Richard, we have very sophisticated financial processes to make sure that the Rose Valley water system pays for the Rose Valley water payers pay for the Rose Valley water system, and the Powers Creek payers pay for the Powers Creek system.
So Ron, this is another good question. It's a follow-up from Grant Crocker, and it has been in the frequently asked questions that we've been seeing. I think people are wondering what the $215 per quarter then is actually paying for. So right now, $37.50 of it would be for the Rose Valley water treatment plant project specifically, and then that $37.50 in 2026 is going to be removed out. So what's the rest of them?
The rest of it, so that pays for the operations of the water system. So that's for all of the things, the chemicals, the staffing to run the plant, the staffing to keep the lines clean, to fix broken lines, to look after our source water reservoir, and basically it's a whole of system cost. And what we're doing is we're taking in the middle of the system is this plant, and we're taking that cost out and putting it onto the parcel tax. But the rest of the system costs is the rest of that $215 per quarter that you're talking about, Grant.
Okay, this is a good question too. These are all great questions, really. Thank you everybody for asking them. Laura St. John is asking if we pay the $27.50 up front, when the city reborrows in 10 years, will those people who paid the $27.50 up front then have to pay again after the 10-year reconciliation? So when we go to renew the term after 10 years, what happens to the people who paid the $27.50?
Once you pay the $27.50, Laura, you're off the hook for the water. You've paid your share of the water treatment plant construction, and you'll never have to pay another penny.
So Tanya Verster and Shayna Swarovski, sorry for not getting your last name right there, Shayna. But Tanya and Shayna have a question. Why do we still have water advisories? Why are we still on a boil water advisory?
Okay, well, thank you for that, Tanya and Shayna. That's a really good question. So I will venture a guess that everybody on this line realizes that, if you were on the Rose Valley water system, you spent many, many years being under multiple boil water advisories that lasted for a long time. And so the new water treatment plant is removing that, and you saw this year, even though we're still commissioning the plant, it's brand new, We got through this last season, even with the struggles with the source water, with very few boil water advisories. Of course, we still have a few. They happen from time to or they can happen from time to time. It could be due to a major water line break, or you could have a boil water advisory in your local area because of a local area pipe that's broken. And when this happens, it changes the flow of the water, and dirt and whatnot in the system gets brought up and comes to your pipes, to your home. So we may at those times issue a boil water advisory until that water is certified clean. So it still can happen from time to time. We're also struggling upstream in the reservoir with manganese, and so we'll continue to work on upstream improvements for that. But it's we have to, as a government, issue a boil water advisory because your safety is at top of mind. And so yes, it's regulated. But also it's just the right thing to do. Out of an abundance of caution, if we have any worries, we will issue a boil water advisory, and then we go through a whole series of tests, a whole battery of tests to be able to take that boil water advisory off. So we do it in abundance of caution to protect you.
So Richard George has a follow-up question. Just to clarify, Rose Valley fees at $181 per year after 25 years amounts to $9,000 with interest. Is that correct? I haven't
done the math. That sounds pretty high. But it's just like borrowing for your house. If you were to pay cash for a home, for those fortunate to be able to do that, you would pay the exact list price. But if you were to do a mortgage like most of us do, then if you were to add up all of your, if you paid over 25 years, you add up all your mortgage fees, it's way over the price that you originally paid for the house. It's the same formula. What happens in this case, and we're very fortunate, is all the 180 municipalities of British Columbia have got together many years ago and started their own bank. And so we have a AAA credit rating with two of the agencies, which for those bankers listening is a really, really good credit rating. And so we get low interest rates. But it's still, I would have to do the math, Richard, just to see if your numbers are correct. But yes, you're paying a lot more than you would if you just paid the $27.50 now. Right.
Yeah, it's probably about double the $27.50. I think it's about $4,500 or something like that. Or 81 times 25. But I mean, we could get that number for him for sure.
Well, it's 25 years times $81, so whatever that math is, yeah.
So Robin Hunter Connington is asking if they pay the $27.50 now, and then the city decides in the fall to use the full amount of green payments that everyone made towards the cost of the plant, instead of putting it into reserves. So this lump sum payment, will that be reduced, and would she get a refund of the amount that she feels she may be overpaying now? I think this goes to the $27.50 and what's being done specifically with it.
Can you say that question one more time, Jason?
Yeah, so I think Robin wants to know, if she pays the $27.50 now, will she get a refund if it wasn't supposed to be $27.50? Because other people are paying $27.50 and the debt's going down.
I see. Yeah, Robin, you will not see a refund. So that was a really good question. So if a lot of people move to the city and start paying more of the 181, everybody else's bill will go down, and you are correct, yours won't. There won't be a refund on that. I don't imagine it would be a huge amount, but that's a really good question, Robin. Thank you for asking.
So Sue Bowers is saying the water we currently have smells like swamp water or large amounts of chlorine. When will the water we pay for actually be potable? Can I just jump in, Ron, and just remind people that if their water is not clear at the moment or ever, or is discolored or is not quite right, can we please encourage them to email utilities@westkelownacity.ca, because our operators would love to go and help you out.
Yeah, if you're having water quality issues, please do not hesitate to contact us at utilities@westkelownacity.ca. Your safety and the water quality is this is our highest priority. So please let us know. We'll come out, we'll test it at your home.
And just from a technical perspective, currently the only precautionary water quality advisory in the system is for the West Kelowna Business Park and the Boucherie Center area. There is a map on our website at westkelownacity.ca/flushing. That is for the flushing, it's precautionary, it's a water quality advisory. And it just moved from a precautionary water quality advisory that was for the Rose Valley neighborhood. That's now over because the flushing has moved out of that specific neighborhood and into the West Kelowna Business Park and Boucherie Center. And the reason for the precautionary water quality advisory is because it stirs up the sediment and it may end up in your tap, and then you need to clear the stuff in the tap from the flushing before you consumed it again. So that's why it's precautionary.
Thank you for that, Jason. And I do want to go back to Sue's question because I don't think I answered part of her question. One was on I talked a lot about safety of water, and the other she talked about taste. And so every water system around the world has a different taste, and every person has different taste buds. So we all taste water in a different way, or anything that we eat or drink, and so our water, even from Rose Valley, the Rose Valley water system to the Powers Creek system, will have a different taste. But if that taste, if it's a big concern, or if it's been a change, or there's a discoloration, please let us know, and we'll come in and test your water. We're always looking for places throughout the system to test the water, and if it's your place, Sue, we'd love to come by there. So great. Well, I hope not to hear from you because that means things are good, but we'd love to hear from you if you have problems. Thanks, Sue.
Living in the Lower Mainland, so Natalie Crane is saying, living in the Lower Mainland for over 35 years before moving up to the Okanagan, I don't recall once being on a water advisory or a water quality advisory or a boil water notice. Would you be able to explain how the systems in the Lower Mainland are different than the ones up here, and how they allow for clean, great tasting water down there?
Yeah, so I mean, every water system is different, every water source is different. Our sources here in West Kelowna started off as water district, irrigation district. So, our water systems in the day were built for irrigation and for many of our great farms. That has changed, and now West Kelowna is a much different place than it was. And now our systems are being used for drinking water. So we've had to change things, like adding a water treatment plant in the Rose Valley water system. It is coming from a low-lying reservoir that has its own things attached to it, versus you're talking about the Lower Mainland, where they have a massive water system that has been in place for hundreds of years, and so it's a more sophisticated system. But now with our water treatment plant, again this year, even in the commissioning phase of this plant, where we expected to have some rocky roads, we didn't have a lot of, I think we had, a couple boil water advisories with manganese. And so it's an older system. It has some more dirt in the lines. We're cleaning those out. And now with the water treatment plant, we will limit those amount of boil water advisories. But if you were here for the last, 10 plus years, you will be used to boil water advisories, and this plant is going to go a long ways to taking many of those away.
Diane Kakanowski says, is the water considered drinkable today? So I think that goes back to what I just mentioned about the water quality advisories. Yeah. There's only the one water quality advisory in the West Kelowna Business Park, and we've gone through to the schools and the daycares and everything to let them know about that process for that system and for Boucherie Center. So they're all aware that if flushing is occurring in their areas, they need to flush out any turbidity that comes up from that activity. But that's the only area where we have a water quality advisory.
So Diane, the water is safe to drink in all areas, with the exception of those areas that Jason Lusu just mentioned, where you would have been notified of a water quality advisory because of our flushing program.
And that should clear just with out of the tap.
Yeah, just run your tap, Diane, till the water runs clear. If you had unclear water, that is.
Okay, so I think Richard just Richard George plus interest over 25 years. The 181 a year for 25 years includes the interest, so it's the 150 plus the 31. But he's asking. It's very convenient that this 2750 was brought forward right before property taxes are due beginning of July. So I think that goes to the timing of the letter.
Yeah,
and the override.
Richard, that letter went out too late. We apologize for that. It should have given people more time. There's a complicated process to figure out this parcel tax for the first time, and it took longer than staff had anticipated, and that letter went out way too late and did not give people enough time. But the timing is non-ironic. It was done because of a process that we have to go through, a regulatory process with the regional district and with the Municipal Finance Authority to get this in on time to get to their fall borrowing. So we have certain checks and balances that we had to meet, not necessarily to do with the tax notice, because of course this is not going on the tax notice till 2026.
So Mr. Robert Hunter Coddington, sorry, Mr. Robin Hunter Coddington, sorry about that, Robin, was asking if you decide in the fall to use all the money in parentheses from the 150, you have currently put in reserves to pay off the plant. Will I get a refund on the 2750? So I think he's wondering if we were to take all the money that we had available to us.
Yep.
And try and pay off the borrowing, does he get any refund on his 2750?
Robin, that decision hasn't been made yet, but theoretically, if that was the case and people had already paid their 2750, then absolutely we would do the right thing and refund some of that money. Again, that decision hasn't been made, and our CFO our Chief Financial Officer will be strategizing on that and making his recommendations to council, and they'll be making a decision. But if that were the decision, then of course.
So Dan Rojas says wants to know if the engineering exercise did their due diligence for the plant issues. So I think this speaks to what Mr. Hillis brought up in November about the manganese in the past and whether the plant was designed to deal with the manganese and what we're doing about it now.
Yes, Dan, the plant is working brilliantly as expected. It's taking out our, well, obviously any solids that get into the system, but more importantly for us and our safety is taking out any organics that's in the water. That's what it's designed for, that's what it was built for, and that's what it is doing, and we're very happy for its performance. It wasn't designed to take out manganese. Manganese will be taken out at the source water, so that's up at the reservoir where it's much easier to take it out. And those are the improvements that we're hoping not to have to do till 2029. Unforeseen circumstances that happened in the reservoir, and we had the big wildfire, but just more manganese is getting into the water now than we expected this fast, and so we're doing those upgrades now. The plant is operating as expected. Thanks for the question, Dan, or the follow-up question. Appreciate it.
And we're just winding up here, Ron. Sue Bowers has a follow-up question. So the 181 can only be assured for 10 years, given interest rates changing. Is that true? What happens if interest rates go up or down? I think people want to know if the 181 is consistent.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. So thank you, Sue, for that question. Really good question. So most of us when we take out a mortgage, it's usually you can take it out 1 to 5 years. We're fortunate in using our Municipal Finance Authority. We can take the first issue out for 10 years. So to answer your question, that rate will not change interest-wise for 10 years because we will be paying the same 10 years. After that, so for the next 3 5-year terms, we have to keep renewing at 5 years. So it may go up or down depending on what the interest rate is at that time. So again, it's locked in for 10 years, and then we'll lock in for another 5 and 5 and 5.
And then I think we just have one more question. Again, this is from Cheryl Lynn. I just want to reiterate, Cheryl, you have a lot of great technical questions. She feels that we don't have enough information on our website, that people could maybe find better information elsewhere, such as water data and water quality reports.
Yeah, we have we post that I believe we post all of our water testing on our website that we've recently added all that to our website. So Sherilyn, I don't know if you've gone to it lately. I know it's raw data, but we've posted all of those results on there. And then we also post our IHA submissions, and so anything regulatory you should see on there, as well as sort of a summary of manganese levels over the last number of years as well. So we provide a fair bit of information, but Sherilyn, we're always looking for suggestions on how we can communicate better. And the website is a great source. You're absolutely right. So if we could provide more information to help people, then we absolutely will. It sounds like you have really good technical knowledge, and that might just involve a conversation with an actual engineer that where you can speak the same language.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Cheryl, please call, you can email me at communications@westkelownacity.ca, and I could work to set up that meeting for you. And we do have more water data coming for March and April. I've got an email on both of those this week, and we'll get them on our website.
Thank you, Jason. So we're at 1 hour here. Are we?
Yeah, I wanted to be cognizant of the 18 to 20 minutes that we lost off the top. I think I think we've answered the 181 question. Could it go down? Why couldn't residents have an option to pay the remainder of the $27.50 down the road? I think is the only new question I see here.
Yeah, so we may have an option at the 10-year point to do something, have another, a lump sum payment option, and I'm sure that will happen at that time. Right now, we've set this up in a process where we'd have sort of two options, and that's the way it went to the public. One option, and the main option, is just to pay it over 25 years, and that's what we went to the public for. And then we made that extra commitment to allow the one-time only payment. So we'll stick to that, but we will look at the second intake for that this year.
Okay, and then one question left here, Ron, and it goes to water quality. Sue Bowers, I think you have some more questions for us, and please do reach out to communications@westkelownacity.ca if you feel what you've asked here will not fully be answered tonight, but I think this one bears asking towards the end here. We were initially told by the city that there were no issues with the Rose Valley Water Treatment Plant water. The city finally said there were issues when the media became involved. What guarantee do we have? The city officials are now telling us the water is potable. You weren't here last summer. Do you want me to speak to that one, or?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure which issues you'd be talking about, and it might be a little bit to do with the manganese, and so when the water treatment plant came online, and I heard the residents stated that they had dirty water, and it did take the city a week to find what the problem was, and it was a manganese that was leaving the plant and settling out in the water line and coming into your system. So we issued a boil water advisory at the time.
No, we didn't. We issued an advisory to parents with
That's right.
children.
Thank you. So there's an advisory. Yep. So we issued not a boil water advisory, a water advisory to parents. Thank you. To get through that period, we made some changes. We're ready with those changes now for this year, because of course the water is going to change in the reservoir very soon, and we're ready this time.
And sorry, when I just wanted to clarify for the group, when I said you weren't here last summer, it's because you started with us in August, September. So, that I think it's important that people understand that Ron, when he came into the organization, he was on top of this from the start, but he missed the initial part there that we were dealing with at Sue. So yeah, we were working on the water quality advisories last summer for sure, before the media became involved, but
maybe I'm going to answer Stu's question a different way here, Jason, because I think it's an important question to ask. How do we know the water's safe? The water's safe because we have hired the best water quality engineers and technicians in the business. We have people that have gone to school, they've made it their life, and they're very dedicated to providing clean water from both our systems, both the Powers Creek system and the Rose Water system. So not only do we have a high quality of staff, we are highly regulated through Interior Health. We have a lot of guidelines and processes from Health Canada. And so there's a lot of regulations, and to specifically answer your question, we test the water regularly in many locations, and that water testing is posted on our website.
Okay, and last question then, Ron, and then we can wrap this one up. Are residents being charged a higher interest rate than what the city gets?
Residents will be charged the exact rate that the city gets. So I think it was calculated at 4.09 or 4.06.
Yeah.
And so that is the exact rate that we're getting. This is a flow through. Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Again, I'm Ron Bowles. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for the City of West Kelowna. And this concludes our live event for today. Take care.